Hello there and welcome to this before you pull for a certain unit video. So usually we will be basing off our opinions on our one copy testing on our VN server account as well as the opinions shared by other players. But for today's video, luckily for us, we did get Sonja at the Supreme class tier. So we will be talking about this unit based on our own usage as well as what we have observed so far with all the available game modes right here. So starting off with Sonja's kit, we'll talk about her role. Give me a moment, let me just go back into a skill kit. Okay, so with regards to her abilities itself as well as her role in the team, she's an amazing buffer with the ability to buff a whole bunch of stats on two other allies as well as herself with the unbreakable bond skill here. So this means that she's gonna do a fair bit of damage on her own with the additional stat bonuses from the buff itself, and on top of that she's also able to hit pretty hard with the Tempest Trust ability over here, being relatively mobile, being able to hit in the AoE, and also having the ability to stun the enemy with the stunning reception over here. So overall I think she's a pretty decent package as a whole in terms of what she does for the team and how you want to use her, being a good damage dealer, being an amazing buffer, and also a unit that provides a little bit of utility and support for the team, because not only do you get stun, you also get like this massive damage reduction for the Covenant member, which allows them to survive better. So talking about the Crimson Covenant itself, you can use it in multiple different ways, right? So you can use her in a tri-core strategy with Sonja as well as two other carries, and then you back them up with like two other units, one tank and maybe one support. You can also use Sonja in a one frontliner and one carry sort of setup, so that the massive defense boost will benefit your frontliner in terms of tanking better and also allow that frontliner to hit harder as well. Right, so this is one way you can use. And then another way to use Crimson Covenant is just to use it as a maximum stat buffer for your supports, so that they can survive better, get more stats for their heals to perform, or even do damage in certain cases depending on what support you're looking at. So I think flexibility is definitely there, and the values provided by this buff is really big, right? I did a very basic calculation. If you're able to max out the whole buff itself by the 36 seconds, because this stat gain is every 6 seconds up to 6 times, so by the 36 seconds you will be able to get upwards to about 50+% attack as well as over 70+% defense on two allies as well as herself, as long as she gets this unbreakable bond off. So pretty, I'll say like OP unit on paper, but a lot of her damage kit, right? For example, like this, each strike deals extra damage equals to the enemy's current HP. Even though on paper it should be really good against endless bosses, but I think because this unit is physical, right? It's not true damage and it's not HP percentage loss damage. The damage number from Sonja, at least based off the two boss testing so far, is not really impressive. So we're gonna run through the records here to show you guys. So we have her over here at this damage. So I think this is not the best. I think this is the better representation, because this way our units did manage to survive longer, right? Because I used Torrent to tank all the 3 instant kill from King Croker. But in this one, I think she performs better because we get more stat bonuses. So stat is one thing. I think the factional bonus is one thing which sort of holds her back a little bit, because if you consider like the good light bearer Dream Realm characters right now, we have Sinbad, Marilee, and Corinne. They used to be good, usable now, but they are obviously not a top tier unit. So if you think about her as well as like what other top tier unit combinations you can feature on the current endless bosses itself, she doesn't have like the best factional synergy with them. So that's the unfortunate thing, and that's where you lose a little bit of stats from the factional bonus side. So she would be a lot better if she was a Mauler, but let's say in the future we do get like light bearer characters that like will carry the team, and we have Sonja there, and like those are physical attackers, then I think she could be a lot better. Another thing that's sort of holding her back in terms of performance is also because as a physical character, as a unit that mainly deals physical damage, her damage type doesn't scale that well against the endless bosses. So if we were to sort of classify the Dream Realm bosses into 2 separate stages, what we'll do is now put one into the pre-endless and the other one into the endless state itself. So for the pre-endless side, I think she's going to be spectacular, because we did have this Titan River video which showcases her potential there. So let me go into the event, go into Titan River right here, enter the event, and showcase the damage. So right here, we did have a Titan River event. So this is me without Sonja, and this is me with Sonja. So you can see that her damage numbers is definitely there. Like, she can definitely carry, and she can definitely make your other units stronger based on the buff itself. So she is, I'll say, like, most probably going to be decent more in the pre-endless bosses compared to the endless bosses for most people that are after like the min-max damage, right? But right now, if let's say you are like, for example, like myself, you have this account where you don't have that many meta characters. Like, for example, you don't have Harak built up, you don't have your Feresto fully built up, and you have an easier access to max out like Sonja to use in your team to buff up your team. I think she's quite a decent option because she does make my Lilymay a lot stronger stat-wise and allow her to hit harder. And even just off the 2 records I have, I did my best damage with her yesterday on the Skyclops boss right here, right? So this is my best damage run somewhere here, 58 59 build here. So she definitely has this potential to make your team better, but it's, I'll say, not a unit that will amp you up if you already have like the most meta team. For example, like Harak built up as well as Feresto built up, then I think it's better to just stick with those teams in terms of maximizing your damage, because yeah, Harak is just a lot better for the endless bosses. So that's my take with regards to her. So she will amp up like different players teams, but let's say if you have like the best teams out there, she's not going to make a significant impact, at least not in the endless bosses so far. So that's for the Dream Realm side. Okay, so this is something which I forgot in the first recording, but I decided to re-record and add it in, and that is with regards to the 1 copy value versus the Supreme Plus value. So the difference between the buffing potential from the 1 copy side versus the buffing from the Supreme side is not that much of a difference. So from a buffing perspective, if you're just using her as a simple budget Rainer for your team, in the event you do have Rainer built up, or if your Rainer don't have Mythic Plus yet, this is a really good budget Rainer, by the way, because like the difference here is that my Supreme Plus Sonja is now able to do more damage, but somehow my damage for Lilymay actually fell. And then if we go up, we did find a more optimal comp and positioning for her to increase our damage to 58 build right here. So I'll say personally, if you are just getting her for that buffing potential for your team, 1 copy as a budget Rainer, really more than sufficient. So if you're able to keep her alive on the Dream Realm side, that's good enough. So that's for the Dream Realm side, 1 copy versus the Supreme Plus value itself. Now for the PvP side, okay, so PvP side is where I think she's a lot more spectacular. So I haven't actually had a chance to attack yet, so I'll probably attack later and then record the footages. So here's the different records I had. Pretty decent, to be really honest. Like I think if you look at what she does for the team, she from time to time, right, she can be a carry. For example, in this match, I think she did a lot of damage with her ultimate, with all that stat gain, and this brought the enemy's team down. And then there are certain times where she just acts as a buffer for the team, just making like the other carries really powerful because of the massive stat gain. For example, in this one, you can see my Lilymay just damage going off the roof, like doubling hers, even though she's like doing this like 2,300 plus K damage already. So this is where like I buff her together with our dear Iron to get that maximum step buff for the defensive side, so that Iron can run in front to tank better and then do a little bit more damage, with Lilymay outputting damage safety in the backline itself. So that's one way I'm using her right now. I'm not sure whether or not this is the best comp because I don't have that many units on this account, so I will try her out on the main account with more unit varieties to see whether or not she fits into multiple different team archetypes. So far, I think based on my experience using her, or like based on my observation of how other people are using her, I feel that she's a lot better in the... Okay, so this guy is also running Sonja, so we can actually try to take him on and take this opportunity to sort of explain her strength. Okay, I tend to do it. I don't mind losing, to be honest. So let's take on Judas here. So this Judas right here is choosing to buff the dual hyper carry. So this is the reason why I think she is really strong, provided you can keep her alive. Because imagine this, right? Harak having the ability to steamroll faster, as well as the ability to carry harder with more stats, is definitely really attractive. And on top of that, you still have a really insanely powerful Lilymay buffed up by her skill itself. So this is one way I thought of using her, but unfortunately I don't have all this unit built up, so we're going to take this opportunity to showcase this battle. Okay, so this is our Sonja versus Judas Sonja over here. So both of us have that flowers on our carries, Harak and Lily May for hers, for his or hers, and then for me it's Lily May and Iron. Okay. So even though, so this is the case where that unit might not be doing much on paper, right? But it's actually doing a lot for the team because she's just there to make the other units a lot stronger. So unfortunately, I think probably not the best Harak team out there. Like I don't think the Harak actually performed, but you can see the amount of tankiness she provides for the two units on the battlefield. So even after she died, I think the buff is still lingering there. So for this one, I'll talk about the mechanics for another video because I'm not sure whether or not it's a bug or whether or not it's an intended thing. So we need more testing, but we did manage to defeat Judas over here. So this just showcased to you guys that, hey, she does perform in the arena side. Like she does perform if you give her the right team itself. So yeah, I think on the retrospect, I think Judas' team is not the best for Sonja and not the best for Harak. Harak is probably a lot better if you can give him more sustain. So that's that. But this is basically, I'll say, like a really good showcase for Sonja in the case of showcasing what she can do for the other allies. How strong she makes the other ally become on the battlefield itself if the battle draws out long enough. So that's for the arena side, the PvP showcase. Now let's talk about the PvE side. So for the PvE side, I think the best team to use her in, like contrary to popular belief, right? I think people might be saying, oh yeah, she's gonna fit really well in the Tarsi team. So where's my Rowan? So we're just gonna use like these units as a placeholder. So contrary to popular belief, I personally don't think she's that good for this team because okay, first of all, let me just put like all the standard units first. Okay, so let's say if you have Hewin for the heal, you have Rowan for the energy gain as well as the factional bonus, and then you have Lucius as a frontliner or Luca as a frontliner, then you can add in our dear Sonja over here. So I think this is one good team, obviously, but then like I don't think you pull for her specifically for this team. Like she goes really well into a lot of different teams, and personally as a single hyper carry strat itself, you are sort of wasting a little bit of Sonja's potential. So that's why I feel like I think this is an okay team, but obviously she will be better in the dual core strategy. Maybe something like a dual carry OD together with maybe like a Lily May, for example, because in the PvE side, if you have the ability to keep your team alive, then that bonuses that she can provide will be maximized on your carries instead, because they'll hit harder, they'll survive better, and that's where you will be able to be carried by those stat boosts from Sonja itself. So I'll say she would probably go well with teams that generally features like one frontliner and one backliner. For example, like your usual Iron Carolina team, Iron Arden team, Iron Tarsi team, for example. And she'll also obviously go really well with the double carry shred that I mentioned, provided you have the supportive capability to help keep these units alive, because yeah, no point buffing two hyper carries if all your other units die quickly. So that's one thing to take note of. And I think in terms of the PvE side, she's definitely usable. But right now, I'll say as we move towards like just infinite stage pushing itself, you won't be going for her specifically for the PvE side. So based on my observation, more for the Dream Realm side, maybe the pre-endless, and then on the PvP side. So that is the two game modes where I think she excels more at. And for the PvE side, definitely has team, but I guess you won't be putting for her simply for this, right? So that's pretty much it for like her simple analysis right now. So far we have like this testing across the two different bosses. So in the next few days, I'll still be testing her across all the different game modes, such as the Supreme Arena as well as the Dream Realm side of things, and then giving my honest thoughts for this unit with the final verdict video moving forward. Thank you very much for tuning in. Do remember to like, subscribe to see more. See you guys again in my next video. Bye guys.